Oh, fell down another porthole. Oh, my cell reception sucks. Oh, hey, there's someone else here. Hey, what's your name? You're Michael Carter. Oh, what you doing down
Yeah,
here?
Scufflemoss, I'm not sure. I was just kind of doing my normal thing, meditating in the freezing cold, and I kind of blacked out for a second. Now I'm here with you. Is that tropical leaves I see? Where are we? What is this?
Well, I mean, I took a selfie of myself when I got to the island. Uh, if anyone has been following the story on my Wooden Instagram that I've been writing on a weekly basis, um, I recently got like abducted into nothing. Well, I know it sounds weird, but I went to this place called the Nowhere, and there was this orb. Yeah, an orb, like a big round object, but he was glowing with light. And
Ooh,
he started telling me about this Nowhere place, but apparently it was part of a plot to erase me from history. So, I mean, what are you gonna do if someone wants to erase you from history? They already did it. No one remembers who you are.
that would be both terrifying and powerful because all your hard work would disappear, but at the same time you would be given a completely fresh blank slate. I can see the good and bad in that. I'm imagining you, of course, don't want to be deleted from history because of all the hard work you've put into your adventures. I can see where you're coming from, and
Yeah,
now you're here. Yeah.
yeah, here I am. But Mike, would you mind telling me a little bit about you?
Oh yeah. I'm a musician here in Nashville. I'm playing several bands. Used to book shows back when we could have shows, but that was in the before times. And yeah, I play guitar and sing in Young Robot. I play bass and do backup in Wrong Eagle. I play bass in Hollywood Horses. And lately, I've just been hanging out at the house, meditating, reading, trying to survive quarantine. I unfortunately, the only voids I've visited are um, in slightly different circumstances for maybe 5 to 8 hours at a time, depending on what I'm doing that day. But I haven't had any crazy nowhere experiences like you have. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, I guess, before you hit the nowhere space. What were you doing up until that point?
Well, before then, first off, let me introduce what I am. I'm a forest troll, a troll that comes from the forest. But
Right.
I grew up, it was like in Germany, Russia, somewhere in there. I'm not a
You,
geologist or anything, so,
you've got a powerful accent, so I can pick up on that. There's a lot going on there.
oh,
Yeah.
good. I was hoping that would come through. Um,
Uh,
but I I found that I have an affinity for bun, bread, um, and that led me to being shanghaied in the United States about 50 years ago. And then I ran into the forest and I hung out there for a while. Um,
mhm.
then someone was like, "Hey, you're ugly, and we want you for our haunted place." And I was like, "Okay." And they paid me in like a bag of bun a week, so I got bun, and I scared people. I didn't like scaring people. I wanted to make them laugh. I wanted to dance with them, so I left there. But as I'm leaving this place, I get hit with a car.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that car belongs to caretakers. They're the
Mhm.
people that I live with. Um,
Right.
they let me live in their garage for a little bit while I learned about being a human. Uh, you can take the troll out of the forest, but you can't take the forest out of the troll.
I can
Um,
imagine that's a hard transition. I've never undergone that myself. Bless you
yeah.
for trying.
Hey, I'm doing the best I can. So
Really are.
along my adventures, I eventually started getting into local music here in Murfreesboro. and I went to a whole bunch of shows. I got to dance with some people. And then I throw a couple of shows. And then, eventually I got bored of booking shows. So I made a band. And that band included a space cat, a human with a beak deformity, a shaman from the forest, and a man who had buttholes for eyes. His name was Farpus. We went by the name Woodan, because I had already started a electronic musical thing called Wooden Boy, but it was so singular, so I just dropped the boy part, then became Wooden. And now that I'm separated from everyone else, I guess I'm back to being a Wooden Boy.
That's good marketing. You're consistently staying on brand in all your different iterations. I respect that. Yeah. Do you still talk to your bandmates at all? Are you still keeping the magic alive, or is it just kind of sitting in purgatory like we are right now?
It's kind of in a purgatory state.
Gotcha.
I still talk to them. Like Daddy Cat, I talk to on almost a weekly basis.
That's helpful. It's good.
And I still talk with Zopi, and I keep in contact with Florpis. I haven't heard from Dingo in a good minute, but I'm sure he'll come around at some point.
Yeah, when he's ready, when he's ready. You don't want to force these things.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I was just sucked out of the vortex of eternal suffering, and then I was found here in this place.
Welcome to the plane of eternal suffering.
Yeah,
welcome.
I've just been in shock for like the last 2 minutes because slowly all of the torment I had experienced was being washed away from my brain. So I guess it wasn't that bad after all. I feel totally normal now.
Did you just come off a DMT hit?
Maybe that's what it was. Who knows at this point?
That would explain so much. So very much.
All I know is Philip was there, and now he's here with me as well.
Hi, Philip.
Hello.
Hey, bud.
I hope I didn't walk in on anything, but I could see that Michael Carter is here, and there's also a boy made entirely of wood. Hello, hello, friend.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you, gentlemen?
As good as we can be on this Valentine's Day. Suddenly finding oneself in a strange place with a brand new friend. I can't really I wish there was a little bit more chocolate here, but other than that, no complaints. This is great.
Yes, this wooden troll seems very familiar, like I might have been good friends with him in another life, though.
Or every life up until this.
Oh. I mean, you look familiar. Hey, didn't I used to scuffle with you?
Memories flooding back into my brain.
That's what it takes. All I have to do is tell people I remember scuffling.
Scufflemoss.
How could I
have forgotten Scufflemoss?
How could I forget Scufflemoss? I am Scufflemoss.
Scufflemoss, that's right. You disappeared into a void, and no one's seen or heard from you ever since then.
That's right.
Scufflemoss, is this where you've been? You've just been in at the tea party with Michael Carter and Alice? You just been chilling out here?
Yeah. I forgot to invite Alice, but Alice is here. Hi, Alice.
Oh, yeah, Alice is here as well. Yeah, she's just always watching. Very creepy. Don't make any sudden moves.
No, wait. Which kind of Alice is this? Is this the Disney Alice? Is this the Lewis Carroll Alice? Or is this the American McGee Alice?
I'm hoping American McGee, right? To be edgy. We hadn't seen her in a while. Those aren't the hit games they used to be. She needs a new gig.
This Alice is just it's just a window into another reality that you feel has a personality and affinity to it.
That's good because I've been avoiding eye contact with her really hard.
Yeah, don't look directly at her.
Okay.
That's not a good idea.
Okay.
That's how I wound up in that vortex of suffering earlier.
It's a classic mistake, really.
Looking into Alice's eyes and a bad DMT trip are about comparable. So
Okay,
What
I'm
about
just gonna
what about
ignore
doing
Alice from here on out.
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna ignore her. I don't like the way she's looking at me. She's
Yeah.
looking at me like the way I look at the bomb.
Yeah, she's an enigma. We just try to. Let's just all pretend she's not here, okay? Let's just all.
She's not here.
Okay. If we don't give it attention and don't acknowledge it, maybe her powers will be weakened.
I treat the
Not
American political system the same way.
Let's just pretend it doesn't happen.
Well, because
Yeah.
it doesn't.
There you go. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean,
Scufflemoss.
excuse me for getting a little bit political.
No.
But
Go ahead.
Please be our guest.
the Orange Cheeto man just basically got away with it. They acquitted. They acquitted him. Excuse me for being a little unkilter, but the son of a bum is now acquitted of being a presidential criminal. I really hope they go after his butt.
You're talking specifically in reference to inciting riots.
Yeah, he
in
was
Capitol.
acquitted of inciting the riot
Yeah.
as president.
Yeah. I mean, it go like that. Politicians get away with murder.
It do be like that, but it shouldn't be like that.
No, it really shouldn't. I think like now that we're talking about this, I think like it would be a good idea. And you know, who am I? What do I know? But in my mind, that's flawed. It seems like it'd be a good idea to like severe, like, okay, like if you want a position of office, you make like minimum wage, and you can't accept. We have to like really strictly monitor to make sure you aren't taking like money from big companies and stuff. You know,
that would be extremely ideal. But there's a lot of like I feel like that would need to apply across the board to Congress people as well. Like any kind of elected official office, president included, would it. But you know that then it becomes like a who watches the watchman kind of thing, because then you just have to keep putting people in power over people in power. You know, and
You're right.
you know, unlike the economy, corruption does kind of trickle down a little bit. You know,
It kind of does. But honestly, to be honest, I think what we need is a monetary revolution. We need to get rid of the dollar.
Bitcoin.
Would you?
Bitcoin
Yeah,
will
I was
take
gonna
over
say,
everything.
Would you say that crypto is kind of starting to do that?
I do believe that. I do believe that.
Yeah,
crypto will take over.
That's the way we're headed. It's
I
what it
really-
feels like to me.
I really like the fact that you know, thanks to Dogecoin's sudden boost in
Dogecoin.
popularity. Yeah, I feel like
I actually have a 0.1 of a Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
Yeah, I've got 0.7 myself.
Nice.
that after the fucking GameStop debacle, like I feel like more and more people are waking up to the fact that money's like not as real as we think it is, or it doesn't work
really
the way
isn't
we
a
were
thing.
told it
It's
was.
an imaginary concept.
Yeah.
Which this is you know, no one here would obviously need information like this, but you can you can buy bars of gold with the Bitcoin.
We can just
Really?
flip it back around. We can just buy out the Federal Reserve. Now
That's all you got to do. That's how you start your monetary revolution.
Right. There are vendors that will sell you minted gold bars for a certain amount, and you could just pay with Bitcoin. So yeah, there's a lot of ways you can wash your money like that. And like it's just a really cool thing. Like money is obsolete. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency is definitely the way we're like headed. I think I agree with that.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying we'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
But for right now, people have to start realizing that the current system that we're using, no one is really gonna. The small people are not gonna get ahead of the big people because the big people are already too big in the system that we currently have. So we need to level the playing field to start over from scratch, pretty much.
Scufflemoss for president.
Hey,
2024.
I already ran for it in 2020 and I dropped out because Barney Sadler dropped out too.
Okay. I would love to vote for a ticket that has both you on it. I don't care who's president and VP. I just think you guys would really mesh well together. So you have my endorsement now.
I look good with mittens on.
It's Scufflemoss.
That's true.
Yeah.
How does it work in the forest? What is the system like in the forest?
Okay, so the forest system, the way that we do things is by bartering rocks. You have rocks. I have rocks. We both have rocks. Now, I like to have your rock because it means something to me. It means that it was your rock. Now, let's say that I also want something that is of your property, but will help me. So I take one of my nice rocks and I say, hey, I like this rock a lot. I would like to trade my rock for your thing. Is that cool? And then the person would be like, let's see, is the inherent value of that rock anywhere near the price of my object? And then we go into a whole bartering thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I end up eating some grubs off the ground and getting distracted. And I take my rock and I go away without the object.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Is that how you would run things?
Oh, no. I unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to actually run a country. But,
not with that attitude.
Right.
But I'm sure if I had a cabinet of like-minded people with a better drive than myself, I could definitely run a country.
We I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we volunteer as your council.
Could we perhaps elect Team Scufflemoss? This could be the first presidential team as opposed to an individual candidate.
I'm totally down for this completely, because it would be more like having parliament. We just wouldn't have to have a hierarchy, not a hierarchy. There would be a hierarchy, of course, but there would be there wouldn't be a monarch.
I think that's kind of already how it works, right? Like, because the president
allegedly,
yeah.
So basically, we're just getting rid of the presidential title and just having parliament, which is already what we have in the house. But we're going to get rid of the Senate and the House, and we're just going to have Parliament.
I am the Senate.
Yeah. But without lightning.
Yeah, I just watched, me and Philip just watched episodes 1 through 5 at this point. We've been going in chronological order.
Is your first time?
It's an interesting order to watch Star Wars in. No, it's not. It's my first time watching it like this, though.
Oh. Yeah, I've done it this way. It's fantastic because you get to actually see how different things change over time.
You get to see how much the Jedi fucking suck. And then Vader and Palpatine makes a lot of sense. It's like, damn, yeah, the Jedi Order was like extremely militant, where it's fucking kidnapped children all across the galaxy. And then they're like, no, you can't have emotions. You have to silence all emotion within you and join our military.
Like the American school system, the Jedi.
We want you.
Energy.
You mean like the Chinese military system? Because every male child has to go into the army.
Mm-hmm. And that's how it'd be, though.
Like, is awesome.
As for magicians, which that's my statement. You know, maybe you guys aren't making that statement, but as 4 powerful magicians in this room together, I think it's advantageous to us that these things aren't more widely accepted, because if the government treated magic and things you could do with it as a real thing, if they treated it that way, I'm sure a lot of CIA operatives are doing some.
That's what I was gonna say, is like, who's to say they already aren't to an extent?
I mean, what I mean is to the public, the way they treat the public with it. If they took it seriously in a public light, then all of a sudden it'd be like, in order to practice, you have to be state registered, you have to be part of the military, you have to do
like fucking Harry Potter shit.
Yeah, a lot of red tape, right? Like
a bit like Full Metal Alchemist, where
the dogs of the military.
You have to become a military dog in order to use alchemy.
Otherwise, it's not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. But like, as far as our government and magic goes, we all know that the Illuminati is real.
Yeah, or at least organizations like that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already
Jesuit order,
magic
stuff
and
like
stuff
that.
like that going on behind the scenes.
For sure, absolutely.
That we don't know about, but we have an idea about. And we'll never find out because we're not those people.
Yeah.
If we wanted to be those people, we have to go to Harvard, we have to get a degree, then we have to go to Washington and suck someone off for a little bit.
Yeah.
Before you can actually
I mean, I'm not doing anything next weekend. What are y'all doing next weekend?
You want to
Yeah.
go down to DC
I could give a
and
good
suck
blow.
someone off?
Let's invade a cult and take it over. Let's do that.
I'm down.
Destination vacation, baby.
So, I mean, yeah, like you said, there's all this fucking bullshit and red tape in order to even get in one of these secret societies. And it's like, you could just not also. You could just be a dude in your basement and just start making things happen.
But isn't
could
that
be-
what we already are?
Yeah, that's what all of us are. So the four of us together, it's not a cult, but we're capable of more in larger numbers than we are.
If we can go ahead
individually.
and register with the state as like a religious, as like a area of religion or like a church, we can skip some taxes pretty hard, save some money.
Fuck yeah.
That is true. Let's just become a quote unquote religion. And that's how we can totally get ahead of everyone because we won't have to pay taxes.
And then there's things like that's true. And then there's things like it's like, oh no, you can't tell us not to do ayahuasca. It's part of our religion.
Exactly.
You can't tell us not to do high doses of cigarettes dipped in PCP. It's our religion.
Fuck yeah, it is.
That's right.
Religion's more powerful than the government.
I got a question though. And I don't know if anyone could answer it. Does what are they called? Dang it. They do the reggae. They sing about things. They smoke a lot of weed. What are
The
they?
Jamaicans?
Rastafarians.
Rastafarians.
Yes.
So do they actually get away with it? Like the government recognizes their religion?
There are things in the
practices.
States that are like you know what, before I say this for sure, let me look this up. I'm pretty sure there are ayahuasca retreats in the States that get away
No,
with
there's one in Florida that like the Netflix show is about. It's like Soul Quest or something. There's like one in Orlando you can do. And then like back when I used to meet with the Nashville Psychedelic Society, I met a couple people who like run and operate a peyote church in Kentucky. It's like closer than you think. Like,
oh,
and what's the loophole around that, if you know?
I don't know, or I would have abused it.
It's got to be a religious one.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like an actual like church sacred ceremony, for sure. My issue.
Here we go. I got
ahead.
something for you guys. Ayahuasca is a hallucinogenic beverage made from a tropical vine that forms an important component of the Amazonian Indian shamanism. So, I guess if you identify as an Amazonian shamanist, and that's how you put everything on your paperwork, and you have like a little group, then yeah, you can just be like, yeah, that's part of my religion.
It could, but how does that relate to a Rastafarian right now at the cusp of legalization?
Oh, interesting. I really don't know. I don't know how weed works with things like that.
I don't know either.
I mean, I imagine it just kind of helps, right? Because like as soon as that, for all the states that already do have it legalized and for the ones that are on the cusp, I mean, for those individuals that practice that, that's just more religious freedom on paper, right?
Yeah.
It's less of an issue.
Yeah. Sounds good on paper, but let's see what actually happens when it's in practice.
I mean, yeah, like the again, I don't have hard numbers on a lot of the things I like to spit out, unfortunately, but like with big marijuana, there's already like a few big, like a small number of big companies that are buying up most of like the growing operations or everything. So like American corporate energy knows no bounds. As soon as these things become regular, as nice as it will be for people to enjoy something that grows in the ground safer, or safer is not the right word, but enjoy it more freely, then you lose a lot of that love and care that goes into the plant when it's a small operation, as soon as it becomes like industrialized, so that's going to change things a little bit too.
I can definitely see big marijuana ending up like taking over a lot of things, but I have a feeling there's still gonna be those like hometown growers who are probably gonna end up just keeping that sector alive by continually just staying on top of it and making newer strains and stuff that people will stay interested in what they are doing.
That's
so
kind
that
of
they don't have to go to big marijuana.
Yeah, the craft beer side of it is probably going to pop out and exist just as strongly.
So
exactly, that's exactly what I was.
Along those same lines, like competition isn't good for you as an individual business, but it is good for all of us, for it to be super competitive, because it's exactly what you're saying. In order to keep up with big weed buying out all this bullshit, you got to step up your game so products get better. And overall, that's kind of the idea of capitalism: is the competition drives the product up. It makes
it's the free market, baby.
Yeah.
It not only drives the product, but it drives us as human beings. It gives us a reason to not get complacent.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I feel like a lot of that has, again, it's been like warped and morphed into like this kind of propaganda-esque level of like, you can do it, you can be like us, like the billionaires running everything, when the reality is like we're very far away from that. We're so fucking far away from that, but it's the thrill of the chase for a lot of us, and we're using that to blind ourselves from enacting legislation that could potentially make those gaps a little bit smaller right now. Like what Scufflemoss was talking about earlier.
It's kind of like the American dream isn't a myth. It's just a myth for 99.9% of Americans.
That's true. But another thing that comes to mind is a universal income. That's something that would bridge that gap that we're talking about, but it would also lead to us having to do that monetary revolution. Because once everyone has money, then no one doesn't. Then everyone is getting closer to the same, and someone always has to try to get a leg up on someone. It's just human competition. You're always trying to get one over on someone else. So once we get to the point where everyone is equal, someone's going to say, I don't like this. I want to be more. And personally, I'm not cool with that. I don't like doing that. I want to be content. I like being content with what I have. But unfortunately, society doesn't work that way, does it?
Well, I definitely get what you're saying. And no, it doesn't work that way. And the reason it doesn't work that way is like, what I view as comfortable and content is different from what another individual might view as comfortable or content.
That's very true. That's very true.
So again, it becomes that thing when we're talking about security, where it's like, well, I mean, who decides who is enforcing this? It's like, who is making sure that these politicians aren't taking money from big pharma? Like, who's policing that? Well, it ends up being the government. So like, crap, what were we talking about? We were talking about, I got off topic. What were you just saying, Scufflemoss?
Oh, I just had to clap for that because that was good. But yeah, I mean, honestly, we got someone coming in here.
It's Neif. I'll let Neif in.
Neif.
New player.
I'm sorry, Scufflemoss. We were talking about
universal income.
Yes, and
gang, baby.
Yes, and how like what is comfortable for me might be different to someone else.
Exactly.
Well, it's like the people regulating this, the people distributing things out. Who are they? And like, who decides who does that?
Yeah.
Because like, you and I might not agree about who does that. you know?
Like using the example of the $2,000 paychecks or the checks, using that as an example. While the $2,000 would help a lot of people, it won't help everyone, because across the board we have different cost of living in each state. So what's $2,000 for someone in Tennessee? That 2,000 doesn't do hardly anything in California.
Right.
That might be rent, hopefully.
Barely rent in California.
Yeah.
Well,
like
I also,
just for 1 month.
I also, I agree with you about equality, Scufflemoss, but I would say it needs to be equality of opportunity rather than quality of outcome. So you don't want everyone to arrive at the same position. You want everyone to start from the same position.
I think freedom of movement is important for happiness indexes, kind of, because like, again, like some of us, you know, everyone's genetically wired different, and everyone's philosophically wired different too, or at least hopefully. And so in that sense, you know, what, again, exactly what Alex was saying, you know, like what makes one person happy might not make everyone across the board happy. And I feel like if we were to create a system that just like kept everyone in certain size boxes without freedom of momentum to, you know, maybe bigger boxes or different boxes, you know, I feel like that would be, because that's kind of already the way things are. Like people already don't feel like they can change their standard of living. Like it's huge in online rhetoric these days. Like half the posts I see from a lot of my fellow left-leaning friends are like hopeless cry outs of like, you know, like I couldn't afford my insulin this month, or like I am barely making rent working a job I hate, you know. So I feel like moving forward, whatever the monetary and societal structural changes that are coming, I feel like they need to make the game easier to play. I feel like that would be the most helpful.
That would be ideal. Is like it's not that the system, that's an improvement of it.
Because again, like you know, it's very obvious that capitalism isn't working, and it's very obvious that like the iterations of communism that have happened so far aren't necessarily ideal. And so it's not a matter of like 1 or 0, yes or no. It's like, how do we take some socialist injections and just kind of beef up what we have going on? Maybe, you know, that's my outlook on it. That's why I liked what Bernie and Andrew Yang were bringing to the table, because now we're talking about this. We weren't talking about this, you know, a decade ago.
It's
I feel like the only way that we can really move forward as a quote unquote equal society would be to have some sort of universal income for the for everyone.
I agree with that.
I imagine that it wouldn't be a very large amount. It would probably be kind of like probably about 1,300. I could see 1,300 a month working as a universal, and then you end up tacking that on to extra work if you wanted to actually like to quote unquote get ahead. But you know, that's just wishful thinking.
The only problem
the
only problem I see with that is if you do that, you then have to force companies to not raise their prices. Because as a business owner, if I'm an asshole and I know that you have an extra $1,300 a month in your pocket, I can raise my prices. I can price gouge. That's inflation, right? So
they would.
And then if people stopped buying your shit because it was overpriced, your company would go out of business.
That's not what inflation actually is. Inflation is when you adjust what money is worth all over the board, not what a product.
Well, it's kind of a natural, like an organic inflation then. Like it's kind of the prices are just inflated.
By the way, sorry I'm late, y'all. Hey, Alice, sorry I'm late to the tea party.
Don't look directly at her. She's cut this into a void earlier. She's very dangerous.
And fellas, how's it going? Scufflemoss, long time, my man.
Yo,
my troll. How you doing?
Doing good. Just kind of, you know, hanging out in a void. Got banished onto an island. No one remembers me. I'm surprised you.
Yeah, well, that's I saw that and I was kind of tripping out about that because it's, you know, this whole multitude of realities or whatever is going on, I guess. It's kind of crazy.
Maybe you've just ascended outside of just this plane, so you remember Scufflemoss on multiple realities.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I did acquire something from my you know, the time helping you and the band out back in the day. You remember that? You remember everything, don't you?
Yeah, I remember everything.
Okay.
I remember
everything.
Turn
it off.
Well, you know, me remembering stuff doesn't really. I'm not as we know, and as Alice knows well, I'm not a good thing to gauge things by of normality. But I was wondering, when you know you and the bird and the cat and the guy with the eyes came to jam out, and you know we did some recording and stuff. I was wondering if you had told that space cat that I knew how to work on Camaros.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. Because I've now acquired another cat.
Oh, what are you talking about, Daddy Cat?
Yeah, he's moved in with my cat, or moved in somewhere over here by my his Camaro's now parked at my place, and I'm
dang,
working on it.
Where is that Daddy Cat?
Yeah, he's floating around somewhere. I told him he kind of has to lay low because, you know, we got enough cats in the neighborhood as it is now, and you know they kind of frown on.
Last thing you want is Farmwellian pigs out to your sector of the galaxy.
Yeah,
those guys, you don't want to mess with.
Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, so you know.
Well, Alice won't tell anybody.
Yeah, no, and you know, and I was, you know, I also wanted to apologize for being late, guys. Don't have my backdrop set up and everything. I was doing a lot of other stuff going on, and
I don't even know how I got here. We're like, I was just me and Philip were just hanging out, and all of a sudden our conscious Daddy Cat! I saw Daddy Cat! Oh my God.
Daddy Cat!
Neif, when you looked away, Daddy Cat was here.
Oh man, he ain't supposed to be in here. He's supposed to be outside.
Oh damn.
All right, we'll see.
I wonder if anyone's allergic to Daddy Cat.
No, nobody. I mean, we got a cat. You know, I got my cat Paul here, and you know, we got Pete, who's the neighborhood.
Is Daddy Cat hypoallergenic?
No.
He can't even spell it.
So he does lick his own balls.
There are worse ways to live.
You know, I try not to invade too much on what he does out there because, you know, I noticed everybody in that band was of their own breed. So, you know.
Well, a couple of them were humans. They just were weird.
Well, right, but you know, and I like to think I'm of my own breed too, but I didn't expect to have another cat this big.
Hey,
not that I mind.
Speaking of bands, Carter, Young Robot, you have a new single dropping. What is it? The 19th?
Yeah, it's time to plug that.
Wow.
It's dropping on the 19th. If I'm being real with y'all, it's probably the proudest I've ever been of like anything I've ever done. So anyone that's listening, anyone that's watching, whenever this airs,
I will put up a link.
Up our hyperfollow link. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
save it. That helps us out. I've done. This is the most money I've ever spent on promo, and this is the most actively I've ever tried to just get word out. I've been emailing radio stations, blogs, like you name it. Like I'm trying to manifest something this time around and hopefully get the ball moving in a very specific and heavy direction. Here we're going back into the studio on March 6th, and we're gonna have 4 or 5 more singles we're gonna release for the rest of the year, EP next year. So I'm like starting to really, you know, get my gears going, which feels good.
It's always I'm always glad to hear musicians and artists doing stuff like that.
Yeah, check out Young Robot's new EP, No Name, on it's dropping February 19th. That's this Friday, and I'll have a link in the description below.
Just a single though, not an EP.
I'm sorry.
but-
I'm used to
No, you're
calling
good.
singles EPs because that's
Yeah.
just how some people release it. It's like, oh, look,
I mean,
check out this EP. It has one track on it.
I'll put some secret songs there that are invisible
secret
that can't be
sauce?
heard. Yeah, secret
Yes.
sauce. Dripping that
gonna
south.
is it gonna be on Bandcamp as well?
Yeah, I'll do a Bandcamp upload. The only reason I push Spotify so hard, it's not even something I love. It's just a vehicle that can be used to like gauge metrics and acquire new followers. And I don't really know enough about YouTube to push YouTube. So it's kind of the it's what I've decided to saddle up with. But yes, Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Deezer. For my 5 Tidal people that are out there, it'll be on Tidal too.
You're just cranking out songs left and right. Like Hollywood Horses had a song last month. Is that right?
Yeah, Hollywood is putting out a song a month on Bandcamp Friday. It's normally just $1, and we put it up so that you can grab it. Hollywood is not on any streaming platforms other than like a few of our music videos that are on YouTube. You can still check out, get those view counts up for us. And we're heavily putting out content. I miss Andrew and Breely really hard. I haven't seen them in a long time, and I can't wait for COVID to be over, or for everyone to get vaccinated or do whatever needs to be done so that music can happen again. I'm just ready for it, I am going to. So Rainbow Kitten Surprise is doing some shows at the Caverns. The second weekend in May.
Pelham?
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck! When is that?
Yeah, it's and they're doing pods, right? So the way it works is you buy a 2, 4, or 6 person pod, and it just kind of it's like caution taped off, and it's just for like you and the people that you bring, and you stay there. I've got a 6 person pod for May 9th, and I'm fucking stoked.
Is that when your show is? May 9th? When are you playing? May 9th, you said?
Oh, I'm not playing. I'm going to see people play.
Oh, I thought you said you guys are playing at the Caverns. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No. I wish we were playing at the Caverns, but I'm going to see live music and reach newfound levels of inebriation and enjoy it again, because it's been a while.
Yeah. That's exciting. I think I have tickets to see Circa Survive either this month or next month that I bought like last year before pandemic stuff.
I'm in the same boat with my Dance Gavin Dance tickets that keeps getting moved. Like it's just every 6 months they're like, oh, okay, it's in August now. It's in March again.
Yeah,
it's in August now.
I need to check it again.
I had Blue October tickets that I've given up on.
Oh.
I need to check it again, but I'm pretty sure I've still got tickets to see Circus Survive at Mercy Lounge like next month.
Oh, that's gonna be good. Is it like one of the album reunion tours? Not reunion, but you know what I mean? Like, is it like in celebration of something?
I'll be honest, I don't know. I bought the tickets because Polyphia was opening up for them. I love Circus Survive too, but Polyphia was opening up for them before it got canceled because of Corona. And then they weren't offering refunds on tickets. They were just postponing the date on it. And now Circus Survive is coming, and they were the headliner, right? They have a new opening act though. So Polyphia.
Oh, it's not Polyphia anymore?
Nope.
Oh, that sucks. Did you see them when they played the Cowan like a couple years ago?
I've never seen Polyphia, but oh my god, would I love to.
Yeah, no, I missed that show too, and I'm still kicking myself for it. Makes me sad. Hurts my soul.
Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list. I'm still stoked about seeing Circus Survive though. Like,
Anthony Grain's still one of the best vocalists alive. Have you his, I think it's their lead guitarist, Colin Frangisetto. He's like a heady, cool dude that has his own podcast. Do you listen to the Cosmic? Yeah, he's got a podcast called The Cosmic Nod, and he does all kinds of like psychedelic artwork and shit that like made me really reappreciate Circa. I was you've been hiding in the background this whole time.
Damn, that's really cool. I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. It makes sense. Yeah. Like, I wonder if he does their album art.
Maybe. I do know the reason that I got turned on to him is like one of my favorite podcasts, which is Third Eye Drops with Michael Phillip. They did like an ayahuasca trip together. Like they did like, it's like a 4 or 5 episode series, and they talk about how they feel before they leave. they talk about it right after it happens, and then they interview the shaman and have him on for an episode, and then they have an episode where they just like do a total recap of the whole experience.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So Michael,
Yeah.
I'm on your Spotify right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience making the song Printer? Is it true that you worked with Basic Printer on that?
No. I do not know Basic Printer, but I appreciate his music. Okay. But Printer Printer and No Name were actually recorded during the same session. And Printer was just kind of like a riff that came out of nowhere to me, and I built it while Caligula was still a thing, for people who've been around for a while. Yeah. And that was like, it was the defining moment where I was like, okay, this is something different. Like the energy is still coming from the same place, but like I've got new boys with me. This needs to be different. So Printer was a complete restart of like the cycle of things I'd already been doing. And it was, I don't know, it was like really refreshing. And the riff itself is like, I don't like using the word showy, but I was proud of it. I was so proud of it. And it just, you know, it was a big reboost of my confidence, let me kind of move things in a different direction that I had never felt comfortable moving into before. And so, yeah, that's all Printer is. It's about the repetition of cycles that we continually go through, but like trying to find some hope and triumphant energy in that and using it to like get the ball rolling in a different direction.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Neif have seriously been talking about busting out a talking board on camera and like doing that live and recording that. And I'm looking for ample volunteers that would like to sit down and experience that with me.
Well, I am young, able. I'm a young, able, supple 28-year-old male.
Taut yet malleable.
My services.
Supple.
Supple. Yeah.
Supple. That's the term that stood out for me. That's supple.
That's one of my favorite South Park jokes. Cartman says that about himself when he's writing someone one time, and like it stuck with me over the years.
Supple is a very strange word.
It's like moist. It's just kind of uncomfortable.
It's not quite as uncomfortable as moist, but yeah.
Oh, so moist.
You know, I actually really like the word moist. There's not a whole other way to describe certain things like cakes. You can't describe a cake as wet. That's wet true. Cake doesn't sound right. Moist is the right way to put it.
That's a good point.
I love the word moist.
Scufflemoss, do you like moist buns or dry
I was just about to say that.
Sorry, I jacked it.
No, that's hilarious.
Have you ever had a bun soaked in milk?
Nope, not recently. No.
It's pretty good.
Okay. I'll trust you. I'll trust you.
Scufflemoss is the expert when it comes to buns.
That's true.
Further research is required.
Yeah. So you guys heard it here first, folks. Scufflemoss likes moist buns.
Hey.
Yeah, I do.
So okay, let's get into the nitty gritty, guys. This is something that's been on my mind.
Uh-oh.
Lay it on.
What do you think is going through animals' minds when they see artificial constructs like buildings and roads and shit, like infrastructure?
Look at that tree.
They're just like,
that really
that's a
tree.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So you think it's like part, they view it as part of the environment. They don't see it as something unnatural.
How would they know otherwise?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think they see it as like our nest. They see it as something this other creature.
Okay, so they know it's artificial, but it's humans made it, so it's kind of part of nature.
As much as we can tell that they know that it's artificial. I mean, we know that we understand that a bird's nest is artificial because we're looking at it, but we don't know that a animal understands growth.
So you think
that didn't grow out of the ground unless they watched us.
So you think it's like they understand that humans built it, but that's not strange to them, kind of how like a bird's nest isn't strange to us.
I don't think
like
it's
a rabbit's hole isn't strange to us.
I think it's probably not a broad answer on all the animals. I think some animals' level of intelligence
Obviously, yeah,
might
like
be,
sure, that's a
you
good
know.
point.
And if they're domesticated, also, it's domestication genetically is shown to genetically alter. So you know,
what do you guys think?
You know.
I'm gonna wait till Carter answers that because I have a specific theory about animals and stuff like that. So go ahead, Michael.
I think thinking about that implies a level of dialogue that is happening in animals' heads that might not be there because we don't really know how fully conscious or unconscious they are. You know, I love the energy exchange between myself and like domesticated pets like cats and dogs, but like Neif was just saying, like that's different now, or like, you know, they've been genetically altered to kind of be on board for the ride. So I really don't know. I like the nest theory, but I also think that there might just be a complete and total acceptance of it. Like, oh, that's a thing that's there. Okay, I can't walk through that. Maybe I should get out of the road or not. You know, like
kind of
bright
like what
light
Philip
danger.
said.
Let me
It's
move.
like they just think it is like trees or rocks or something.
Yeah. It's just there. You know.
I gotcha. That's yeah.
Okay, so first off, animals are stupid. They don't have the developed brains. And here's the thing. Imagine that you are in the animal's position and you're going for a bye-bye ride. You get in the car and there's this creature right next to you who has very long arms and legs and towers over you and somehow can walk on two of them instead of four. And this thing is taking you somewhere that you have no clue about. You've never been there before. It's basically being abducted by aliens. So going to see the vet is a terrifying experience for a lot of animals because it's like being abducted by aliens. So I imagine that animals see us as the alien ones. We just have evolved faster than them, and we don't have the same physiology that they do. So we build things for us. But animals, they're stupid. They don't build things. Except like swallows, they make their nests, or bees, they make their hives. Those are things that they naturally build. Or beavers do it too.
I definitely get what you're saying. Like to differing levels though. Like they've shown that like sparrows can do they pass the marshmallow test, where it's like you know they will instead of if you put a marshmallow in front of them, they will reject that offering if they know that they will get 2 marshmallows from refraining. So they can practice self-restraint in order to get greater rewards.
That's also part of domestication.
Sure, but it's
one of the things that we found is animals will use tools, but not all of them.
Yeah, a bird, like orangutans do.
Yeah, a bird will put pebbles.
Thing, right? Not evolutionary.
Not necessarily, because I mean, you know, they say they witness birds, you know, like the old story of the bird filling up the beaker with pebbles to make the water race.
Oh dang! Michael just dropped.
Did he just fall?
Hey, I'm safe.
Are you okay?
Yeah, okay. I fell in a hole.
Oh. Yeah, you got to be careful around the table.
You looked at Alice again, didn't you?
You know. I did.
You gotta be careful.
She was enticing me with those dead, soulless eyes.
Yeah, she'll pull you in, dude.
Yeah, I thought we lost you for a minute.
I did too. It was dark and white at the same time.
Was it moist?
It was the most moist I've ever felt, which is saying something.
The hole might not have been moist, but I was.
Would the most moist you ever felt be the least wet you've ever felt without being dry?
No.
Whoa.
No.
Okay.
I will not attest to that on
camera. Right, I'm just trying to find a line on science here, but
yeah,
no, pay me no mind.
So there's no conversation.
That's another conversation altogether.
And happy Lupercus, by the way, everybody.
Oh yes,
happy Lupercus.
Are you going to tell us now what it means?
Okay, yeah, I can do that, I suppose. So I was doing a little bit of research, and not just into Valentine's Day, like I was reading about Leif Erikson and how Columbus is full of shit. Happy Leif Erikson Day. Yeah, SpongeBob.
Went to go
taught us
get
so
more
much.
giant paper.
Yeah. Yeah, so Valentine's Day. I forget which king it was. There was a whole thing about soldiers not wanting to be away from home and like out at war. They'd rather like weirdos, they'd rather like be home like with their families, you know.
Bunch of nerds.
I know. And basically the king, I can't remember who it was. And I'm not a historian, guys, so you know, don't hold me account. I'm not accountable for anything I say. Got it?
Yeah,
So,
you're the host of this show.
I'm
You're
fact
supposed to
checking
be
this whole
accountable.
thing.
So he had put a ban on it where like soldiers couldn't get married. I think that's right. And it was Saint Valentine that low key under the radar, he was marrying people like he was officiating weddings without the king's authority, and basically because the king was saying if you're a soldier you can't get married, basically. You won't want to fight as hard, you'll try to abandon. So he was like, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway. And they found out and tortured and executed him. So they executed him on February 14th, and it was sort of a political move because on February 14th there was an old pagan festival called Lupercus.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah, what a coincidence. So Lupercus is a fertility festival to the god Fauna. Basically there's a lot of intricacies to it. A goat or a dog is skinned in more of the ancient traditions, and the pelt is worn and then by someone, and that person chases around young women and hits them with a stick, which makes them fertile. But it seems
science there.
It seems like a tongue-in-cheek thing because from what I was looking at, it was one of those things like where like women would line up to get hit with it. So it's not like he's just beating them with it.
Hey baby, let me hit you with my stick.
Now you're fertile. So
we need actual Valentine's Day cards that like bring this back.
Yeah. So basically, and then on top of that, it was just a giant orgy. Like it was free love, you know.
When wasn't there orgies in Roman history?
I'm sorry. Oh, when wasn't there? Yeah.
When wasn't there orgies in human?
That's true.
Like,
I guess
it's one of the only things they got right. I mean, shit.
This is
for the most part they eat, they have the sex, and they eat, and they have more sex.
And
that's what happens.
Okay, so
the
Lupercus, they just skip the food and drinking that day. It's double orgy day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So on basically the church didn't like Lupercus or double orgy day because
the church doesn't like to fuck.
They don't like exactly. They don't like to fuck.
The church doesn't fuck.
They weren't little children, so I mean they're like, we can't have.
No, but they like to fuck little children.
Oh God.
Just keep going, Alex.
So then Valentine's Day was adopted as this instead of it being about orgies and sex, it was about there was in place an ancient Valentine's Day custom in place of Lupercus. You would go draw from a ballot and you would pick a name of a saint out of a ballot, and whichever saint you got, you had to enact that saint for a period of time. For some rituals, it was just for the rest of the day. For some, it was like 12 days or something like that. But instead of having a giant fuck fest, you get to draw your name from a basket, and then you get to act like that saint. It's like whatever
That's
saint.
Way lamer.
Yeah, it's way lamer. It's
like, and they just changed it back to let's fuck.
Yeah. They right, exactly. And
what if you could draw a card, pretend to be that person, and then fuck as that person?
That's
So
what I
it's
was.
in
That's
your
what
head.
I was thinking. They were going some role play shit. It's like we have a big like Mount Olympus thing going on with the orgy, and everybody picks a role, you know. But that's just, I mean, that's me where I go with it. So
I'm Saint Jude, the saint of animal husbandry. I'm gonna take this really literally.
Yo, we're back on the furry porn again.
Oh yeah, last time Scufflemoss was on this show, we looked up porn pretty much the whole time.
Yo, it was
fun.
Horse Porn was the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Hey,
Good
anyone
times.
listening, you can go listen to it now on Spotify. It's episode 9.
If you want to see
Titled
me
Horse
and
Porn.
if you want to see me and Scufflemoss and Rick Pittore go watch Cars porn and narrate it, you can do that. We also watched.
That was a great episode.
It really was. We also watched Sonic the Hedgehog molest McChicken, which was
that's a very specific subgenre of erotica.
We
didn't know that was there.
This rabbit hole goes deep. It's not up to us. Alice. Oh.
I'd forgotten about that. I was trying not to laugh, but it was too funny. Hey Michael, if you ever want to see a hedgehog make it with a sandwich, it's pretty funny.
That's been in my top 5 things that I want to see, so I know how I'm spending the rest of my Valentine's Day.
The rest of my existence. Oh.
Yeah. And that was the last time anyone ever heard from me.
Take a chunk off the bucket list real quick.
It's like, well, we were talking about how Michael Carter has just been a badass popping off songs and like just being really productive until I told him about Sonic fucking McChickens, and then everyone he just fell off the face of the earth.
Some people stumble into alcoholism. Some people stumble into heavy drug addiction. Some people stumble into hedgehog sandwich porn. And I'm one of those, and I'm not going to tell you which one I am.
It'll be the VH1 behind the music. We're all going to be on there going, man, I know when the downfall started, man. I mean, there's nothing we could do. Nothing.
There's the real curving. A really like sharp curving point in his career.
Hey guys.
Yes.
Chicken.
Yes.
Oh!
You found it.
Okay. Have a nice day.
God rest his soul. God rest his soul.
That's
He made
content,
his own
boys.
special sauce.
Have you guys seen the VR experience My Roommate Sonic?
No, but I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yes, I've seen this.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty much you sit there next to Sonic and you can like take his shoes off and tickle him, and the climax of the video ends with having sex with Sonic.
Yeah.
It's a very special experience.
Yeah. That's true. There's like more than one game in there. You can like
It sounds like there's a lot more than one game out there. I mean, in there. Or wow.
It's like a whole. It's like 4 different little Sonic scenarios.
Sega's taken some liberties with canon now, and they're just trying to get the man up to Mario status again.
Yeah, weird direction Sega chose to go with the Sonic franchise.
I support it though. It's edgy. It's what the kids want.
You got to do what you got to do, man. You got to keep with the times.
I mean, I guess they're just really
got to compete with Cyberpunk and the GTAs, you know.
Oh, speaking of Cyberpunk, did you guys see?
Let's not.
Yo, let's not talk about Cyberpunk.
No, we're gonna talk about Project Red though. Do you guys see what happened?
No,
lately.
Oh, they got hacked?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 days ago, real bad.
Yo,
all the source codes for their games got leaked.
You did.
Or got leaked. Sorry.
Oh, so now we're about to all get it for free.
Well,
I mean, a bunch of people that would actually be into that might get free.
It's not just that; all their records got leaked, like people's private information.
Right.
Oh, no.
It's it's a really bad one.
there's no point in just hacking a place for their
I can
video
find
game anymore.
they got a letter from the hacker. Let's see if I can find it. You guys go on without me while I look this up.
It's okay. I'm watching the Sonic VR thing right now.
Thank God.
Oh no.
It's terrifying. Dr. Robotnik is across the street and he's telling you what to do on like a 1999 cell phone.
I forgot about that part.
Wow.
He's
Yo,
texting
he says-
you the whole time.
Now
He
you've
says go for it,
actually
tickle
sparked
him.
my interest now.
Yeah, you got to watch this, Neif.
It's
Oh, my
incredible.
Lord.
You've got
It's
to.
it's art in its purest form.
You know, Scufflemoss, I'm not sure if I can remember whether or not you guys were a good influence on me or not.
Oh, great influence.
I'm
The
an
answer's
influence on
yes.
myself. Not a good one, but I'm an influence on myself. Whoa, you take off his shoes and rings go everywhere!
Yeah. Yeah. Scufflemoss, are you playing it?
Coming towards the screen! What the heck is going on?
Are you playing right now? Are you watching
No,
someone
I'm
play?
just watching a YouTube video,
Okay.
but it's freaking me out.
I was gonna say
What's
you.
going on with his eyes? What is he doing? Whoa! You've taken it too far. Oh!
I kind of feel bad now. Scufflemoss is going to be different after this.
Yeah. I mean, shit. We
I think it'll be okay.
broke Scufflemoss with Sonic Rule 32, and we broke Michael Carter with the fucking McChicken porn. I guess.
Yeah.
Wait, no, it's just Sonic Rule 32 has broken both of you.
Yeah, we share that bond now. We will carry this with us into the next lifetime.
It's like a twin that we can't remove.
Well,
Were we able to serve that up here at the tea party table? Was that where this all occurred? We damaging people actually at the tea table now, not just Alice.
There's
Yeah.
a reason why we don't look into outside.
I want to. Yeah. Wait, you don't know what kind of risk you're getting into when you come on this show. Like, you'll never. You. I mean, shit happens.
I've signed a waiver every time and then earned it, but
That's
I've
true.
signed a waiver.
We keep it legit over here.
What the heck?
Yeah, and Michael, that whole signing in blood thing was a joke. I mean, we'll still take that.
Well,
That's fine.
Well,
Also-
good thing I didn't use my blood; it was someone else's.
See, I mean, that makes me feel better. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now that we
There's-
know that,
there's
we
just
can
some
say it
guys.
was actually binding.
Right. It makes me feel better.
Somebody's
So-
bonded, but it's not me.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna share my screen real quick. Check this out. Can you guys see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is the letter that was sent to Project Red after they got hacked. Basically, this is a ransom note. We've dumped, for those of you listening on Spotify and can't see my screen, it says, "Hello, CD Projekt. You have been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We've also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we've encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter even more, and people will see how shitty your company functions. Investors will lose interest in your company, and the stocks will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us."
Damn.
In response,
doxed.
in response to that, Project Red released this email to the public, and they said they're not going to be doing any ransom shit. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect them to because they're pretty cold.
yeah,
They're a
so
pretty cold company.
they just let people know it's like, hey, you're gonna see a bunch of shit come out, but they were like, we don't think anyone's personal like anyone outside of the company's like personal information's been leaked or anything like that.
They're
we'll
basically
find
going to
out.
call their bluff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, they
Call
tried
it
calling
together.
the bluff, but I thought I read somewhere that it actually did get leaked.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Like the
Yeah.
source code is actually out there now.
Yeah.
So, I think
Can
I
we
read
make
it
our
in
own
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk?
subreddit. No, this is how they're gonna fix the game. is that the source code got leaked.
And the modern community is going to repair it.
That's exactly what's going to happen. For real, for real, for real.
It
We
might.
can have a PS4 version again.
It didn't get leaked. Project
That's why
Red
I'm
was just
glad I
like, let's just
refunded it.
fucking give this to everybody so they can fix it for us.
Yeah.
They ransom themselves.
You know, I
Yeah.
actually think
Inside
that's a
job.
high probable.
Hey, I hadn't considered that. That's a good
Well,
point,
you also got to
Scuffle.
think that there's a thread in there to leak all their documents to game journalism to like give them a bad rap, which you can't really do that to them because they've been telling game journalists to fuck off since day one.
First of all, no one trusts game journalists, and also
Right.
fucking Cyberpunk fucking went through the shitter anyway. Like you can't
Yeah.
destroy their image any more than
Right.
it has been.
So they probably did it to pretty much, it's like covering your ass. It's kind of like what I talk about, the perfect, you know, like the
I'm gonna go piss.
scripture,
You guys
the
go ahead.
script, the scriptures that talk about, well, we know we're correct in this writing because someone's going to come along and tell you that we're not correct, and we already knew that was going to happen, so we're obviously correct. And that's kind of the same concept. We went ahead and told y'all that shit got leaked, so shit that y'all going to see could be bullshit. It's whatever.
Mhm.
You know, if they did hack it, that was the wrong way to approach it. Anytime you do a cyber hack like that, you don't send them a damn ransom letter. I mean, that
Like
makes
you're a
it look.
fucking supervillain. Like,
Yeah, that's real. That, I mean, that alone is kind of sus to me. That's probably why they didn't. You know, you have 48 hours to comply. Nobody on the real really wants to. You know.
There's a lot of nerds out there.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them have sticks up their butt. So I wouldn't put it past anyone to like actually hack CD Projekt Red and to take the source codes and then leak it. I wouldn't put it past anyone, to be honest. So
that's fair.
I kind of hope that it did happen because it means that Cyberpunk might actually become good. And I really wanna-
The People's Republic of Cyberpunk.
People.
I'm so down.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't make it worse. They can't
No.
break it.
Watch me make the shittiest Cyberpunk the world has ever seen. Stick figures.
I'll play it.
Get on
That's already
Steam.
how
Your
it is.
penis, but it's even
Get on
smaller.
Steam. Yeah, get on Steam and look up Cyberpunk like games like this, and you'll see some real shitty versions of it. Let me tell you.
Is that what that means? Like,
2089.
so the source code getting leaked, is that basically what that means? Is everyone has developer access to Cyberpunk and Witcher 3? And all that?
Basically, source code, all it takes is you compiling it to make it an executable file or make it a file that
Okay.
fits on whatever you run it on.
So then you can go in and edit whatever you want.
It's not, we stole a copy of your game for PlayStation. We stole the source code to your game. We stole everything that you paid millions of dollars to your employees to type up for the past 10 fucking years. And we can compile it. We can sell it to anybody for buku money because they can compile it on any platform that it's able to be compiled on and do whatever the hell they want with it and distribute it.
Damn.
Because it's intellectual property. It's hard to say, you know, that's why they can't call it standard theft, and there's virtually no way to defend it.
Yeah. It'd be like that.
Once one copy's out, if a digital copy exists in 2 places, then you're done. There's nothing they can do about it.
I'll just call it something else.
Yeah.
Cyberpunker.
Not Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk 2078.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2070. They just call it 2020.
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk
2069.
Yes.
Crazy. Oh,
Yep.
I think they're gonna call it Night City.
Mm.
Just Night City.
That's probably what they would do.
Yeah.
They would probably pull it away from what's his name's whole thing.
Yeah.
And what I'm curious as to his real reaction of what they did to it, and it's how you know everything that happened to it and all the backlash it's got. And I'm not very happy with them for that on a developer side of things. I'm still got nothing against their company for their stand on things, but I'm not real happy with the way they released that game and did
Yeah.
that. But still, it's, you know, I'm really curious as to, and I can't think of his name right now, but he's the creator of Cyberpunk, you know, and because he was actually very, very involved with that being made to the specifications, unlike a lot of those games where creators of that kind of
You
world
mean
and
the
stuff.
original Cyberpunk, the
The
guy that
tabletop.
worked on that? Okay.
I can't think of his name. I'll have to look it up now, but I'm, you know, thinking it. But it's, you know, he's about to be the most unknown famous. He's now like one of the most unknown famous dudes because how many people know Cyberpunk and don't know who he is.
So back to
They're
what we
like-
were talking about earlier, Scufflemoss.
Yo.
We briefly got into sort of a like universal income, and so like so I don't think I quite got to say what I wanted to on that. So if we could just go back to that briefly.
Okay.
We were talking about, like, I agree with you that would work in theory, but you'd have to basically enforce no one increasing their prices, like no one price gouging, because the idea is to give everyone a leg up rather than just increasing the amount of money that's like the numbers being put out, right?
Yo.
So I think it could work in theory, but it's just something where, like we were talking about earlier, like in theory rather than in practice, because I don't know who is qualified to decide who gets what. You know what I mean?
Well, the people that are deciding it aren't qualified to do that either, but they're still doing it.
Right.
That's
This is true. This is very true.
So
That-
you have to come up with a whole new board of people who decide what the poverty line actually is, how much it takes to keep people above said poverty line, and then you have to have people that actually care about the people below that poverty line. And that doesn't happen. People
Yeah.
don't care about people below that line. So you have to have a lot of what's it called, empathy. And you don't have people like that in the government. So unfortunately, it's not really going to happen the way that it should.
Yeah, that's why I would advocate that that's not really a good idea in reality, just because I don't think anyone would utilize it correctly. They wouldn't actually do what we're talking about.
That's one of the big arguments against, you know, a lot of people. When you have a belief against all of that being regulated, but you still have compassion, you know, you get in the argument with people where they're like, well, you seem like you believe in socialist ideas, but it's all based on voluntary, because anytime you add a third party into a business between two
Right.
people, that's when you start to fail.
You and I were just talking about this recently. So
Yeah.
like it's funny because we have big government, we have small government, and we have everything in between. But really, I think really these arguments just come into scale, which is something you and I were getting into the other night, Neif. Because if you have a household, there is a way your household works. Let's say you have a family of 3 kids, a wife and a husband. The wife and the husband they're the authority in that you could consider them like a government. Basically, they delegate needs out. They delegate what the children need. Like that's given to them. It's not an equal thing, right? Because the children aren't expected to pay taxes. And I mean, they might be depending on the system, right?
I eat 30% of their ice cream for no reason, just to teach them about taxation.
I think
Just so you
that's a good way
understand.
to instill taxes into people, because people don't really see what taxes are until it comes out after the fact. So teaching them that I'm going to eat 30% of your ice cream, that teaches them you're not going to get everything that you actually work for.
Yeah,
When
Life
they ask
sucks.
you why, you just go,
because I said so. Because that's how it
Right.
works here.
you just walk out of the room with a smile.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, okay. So you have what I would call a household government. That's your parental structure, and you know that varies how that sets up. But what I'm getting at is there is a structure. There is a way that works.
Yeah.
So you can expand that out to a clan or a village, sort of your tribe. So let's say the 5 of us, we decide to start a little village. We go off the grid, we go find ourselves a little island, and we're all chilling out there. And it's like, we don't really need a government because we all know each other. But let's say someone else moves in on the island and they start doing things that don't really vibe with the vibe on this island. Obvious ones would be like murder and theft. It's like, okay, you can't come to our island and then start murdering and stealing. So we have sort of an authority here. Like the five of us get together and say, fuck this guy. We deal with this one way or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a government system. And so really, when we talk about government, I think everyone agrees it's this scale. Like, how big do you want your government to be? How much power does it have?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious, where's that line for you, gentlemen? Where do you kind of fall on that? What should the government be allowed to do? What shouldn't it? Sort of a big question, but
I feel like at the end of the day, the government should exist to help the people in whatever ways they need helped. The government should, and this is ideologically looking at like the perfect government. You know, obviously these are things that are set in place that aren't used or that aren't used correctly. But I feel like the ideal government, the hypothetical utopia government, needs to be one that protects and provides security for its people, but it doesn't need to be like this hard, strict, rigid thing. The way the government provides for people needs to kind of be liquid and fluctuate. And at the end of the day, the government's responsibilities should just be whatever needs to be done at any given point in time to provide safety and security for everyone that it is with, you know. And I know that gets weird because then we get into like Big Brother land if we're not like intelligently watching that and viewing it. But I think on paper that's what it should be.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it kind of sounds like what you're saying is a Big Brother would be good if we could actually trust them.
In a way, but I don't know. It's kind of leaning more towards the like, I'm very pro universal basic income as well, you know, and that's something that we haven't needed before, but it's something that we need now because society has changed. You know, we've lost our jobs, the economy's in the shitter. It's something that we need. So I feel like the basic role of government should be being a safety net for its people. You know, I don't want to always have to worry about my government sending me $2,000 a month it being the way that I live my life. But it'd be nice if I could fall back on that if I need it. I don't want to constantly live in fear of other countries, you know, attacking us or things like that. And I'm not advocating a huge military budget or anything, but it's nice to know that if aliens invaded, you know, maybe we'd be okay. You know, I feel like the purpose of government is to provide hierarchies of structure that allow citizens to freely live their lives, be happy, and do what they want to. I feel like that's what government should be. Is it that? Can it be that? I don't know.
I definitely hear what you're saying. I think instead of looking at quality of life, I look at freedom, first of all, because it's hard to, like we were talking about earlier, it's hard to dictate what is good quality of life for every person.
Yeah, for sure.
Because everyone has different values, right?
To agree with you, I would include freedom in quality of life. Does that make sense? That's totally something that I'm thinking about.
I would say that's really, the government can't be stepping on our freedom. They can, as long as it increases our quality of life without doing that, then that's fine.
Now, if I could chime in just for a moment, and I'll try not to crank up the tear down the fucking government flag too much here, but if we back up a little bit, we're talking about a couple of different things here, and this is constantly what happens when we start talking about the government, because you're talking about security, And security is a broad term, but really when you think about it, when you're talking about being invaded by another country or whatever, you know, regardless of the aspect of that, we just look at it as, that's why I always said, let's go back to tundra law, because there's a lot of stuff we don't have to worry about now. We don't have to worry about getting invaded. Nobody is going to invade us. Nobody wants to run us. Nobody wants to take us over.
Right.
Because we have a military.
Well, no, because we're an absolutely nutball people and nobody can rule us.
Well, and our military is made out of absolute nutballs that no one wants to rule.
Well, that, and also,
the government is made out of absolute nutballs that no one wants to rule.
Exactly.
Right.
So our military and our government is made of its people, right? So
right. So what we end up having in there, and also since we're out of the UN, or if we still are, that changed a lot. People don't understand that changed a whole lot. You know, while we were in the UN, our military wasn't our military. Now that we're not in the UN is potentially our enemy.
Changes a lot of shit.
Changes a lot. So, but
that's basically being on the other end of
that's kind of a separate thing. That's a whole other thing. What I want to look at is we're talking about with economy, all right? Because that is where a lot of the argument happens and where a lot of the disconnect happens, because that's where you get into what socialism and a lot of these socialist ideas are, because that's what socialism is. It's an economic system. It's not a government system. It is a system of economy. It's a system of dispersing the economy, and it's looked at as the opposite of capitalism, because capitalism is about you controlling your own income. You controlling the destiny of your own wealth, whereas socialism
rather than being provided for you.
Right. Socialism has to have regulation by a force.
Yes, and
that's why they say it doesn't work, because you have to have a communist government. Right.
So so now we're getting back to freedom, which is what I was talking about.
Well, that's the thing, is if you're talking about providing a base income, you know, and it goes back to what Alex was saying about everybody's level of happiness is different. So you have to separate everything. And technically, when you say you don't want a rigid government, actually you kind of do, because
you just want a rigid government that works.
You have to have things quantified.
Right.
That's why I say things like race, you can't put that in legislation, because nobody can quantify what that means on paper. So therefore it can't be used, and you can't, then it leaves too much wishy-washiness to go into the judicial system, and the judicial system is so corrupt, then they can decide, usually by the money, which side they're going to lean to. That's why some people get fucking probation, some people get life, you know, and that's where we see.
So let me break in, Neif. I think the reason I focus on freedom, like as far as what a government does, it's like we keep coming back to this lack of trust thing, where it's like, yeah, man, we can all agree that if the government paid all our bills and took care of us and gave us all exactly what we wanted, that'd be great. But I don't think any of us here actually think that would happen. So
yeah, especially not with like the current way things are, unfortunately.
So reality being the way it is, I think the government should have as little authority as possible. They shouldn't be taking care of us. They shouldn't be doing these things, because they evidently suck at that. They have shown to not be good at that.
People also don't take into
account. Like you said earlier, Alex, the government is made up of its people, so it's a societal viewpoint that is the problem in the end. It's not necessarily the government, it's the people who make up the government, and we are those people.
Let me rephrase that then, Phil. That's a good point. We are not good at taking care of ourselves, so no one should be in charge of another person's what they do. I think what the government should do, why I think we need a government, is some kind of there are certain things the laws that should exist are laws against violent crime. So I can't, if I murder somebody, or like steal from somebody or hurt somebody, someone shows up to defend that person. That's what the government should be doing, in enforcing laws against violent crime. So every other crime, I think we don't need a government for that. There are social crimes. There are people being an asshole on the internet, you know. We're all guilty of that, and we've all been subject to that. So
well,
like
there's a lot more that we don't see because we don't run businesses. You know what I mean? There's a lot more little victimless crimes that we don't realize that go on that are what shapes our economy. And that's another point that I was really trying to back it all the way up to is a lot of people take out they don't take currency into consideration. The American dollar isn't worth shit anymore because it's and when I say that I mean it's not based on anything.
You missed it, Neif. We were talking about cryptocurrency earlier,
right?
And how we're progressing that way.
So what you end up having is when you have the government control the economy and you're saying, okay, everybody gets the same amount of money. Well, what does the money mean anymore then? What is if the government is paying your bills, they're not paying your bills if they own the electric company.
That's what I was getting into about
so
you can't let businesses raise their prices on things.
If you're what it is, if the government in socialism, the government owns all the businesses. So they're not paying your bills for you. There's no bills.
They're giving you money to pay them.
They're not giving you money.
They're giving you credits. They're not use at their business.
They're not giving you anything. They're giving you free business they're giving you
that's what I'm saying. They give you fucking Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Now,
to spend at Chuck E. Cheese.
This is where it fails because the people that have to go work those jobs have to all get paid the same. So it doesn't matter. And they're like, well, it doesn't really matter. Our standard of living is the same. Well, then you don't have anybody competing. And when you don't have anybody competing, nothing advances. And you look at post-Soviet countries that are still hanging around these little towns, these little countries. You go in, they got grocery stores, but they have, a variety of 7 items that you can get. You get 100 of those, one of those 7 items, but that's all you're going to get. Because they don't have, the economy isn't doing anything. Nothing's happening because nobody's trying to do anything. You're not going to go out and try to build some new device because you're not going to, if you're going to try to make life easier for everybody, you don't have an incentive other than the government going, thank you. We might put your name on that, but we're going to disperse it to everybody. And I mean, you're just going to go back to fucking standing on a bread line and doing whatever, and your device will, whatever.
All right, let me pull it back. So, yeah. So, okay, even going back to violent crime, it's not like we need a federal government to take care of that. There's local, which we can break it down even more than this, but there's like local police chiefs. There's like local law enforcement to deal with local crime. So,
but then you run into the case of corruption because that police chief, unless he's an empathetic person who entirely thinks of only the good of the people, you're gonna have a corrupt society regardless.
Someone's knocking at my door. I'm gonna have to mute and close my video, but you guys keep going. Sorry, Scufflemoss.
Okay. So, like I was saying, it doesn't matter what you do with that. You're gonna have a corrupt society because someone always wants to get ahead. So you have a police chief who runs these societies. He's the one who decides who's right, who's wrong, who deserves to get away from a crime or not. Now, you can't necessarily have that because there's no checks and balances. So then you still have to come into the argument of who's gonna govern what's right, what's wrong.
That's where the judicial system fails.
Yeah.
That's what I talk about. It's not so much the cops committing the crimes as the cops getting away with the crimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, I feel like it's worth discussing like what drives corruption and how can we possibly snuff that out, which is like a really hopeful way of thinking, right? But like, what is at the core of corruption? Is it incentive for, again, a higher standard of living, or like, is it power? Like what really drives corruption at the local level and beyond?
Well, I would like to say that it is power in the sense that everyone wants to have control. They want control over their own lives. Mm-hmm. When they see that they like the way that control feels, they also feel like they should have that control over other people's lives, which leads into getting ahead of people and trying to outsmart other people. So it still leads to some sort of corruption. So there's still got to be checks and balances.
You also have people who are very vigilant and vindictive. That you have people that want to enforce what they feel is a crime that might not necessarily be agreed that's a crime. So then you end up, it's like it might not be necessarily a bad dude. He might have good intent, but he might just be taking it too far, and that's another thing that happens with that kind of power. You do a little bit of good, and then the next thing you know, you think that you can only do good, and that anybody that goes against you isn't doing good. And they need, you're gonna snuff out all the crime. I'm gonna snuff out all the bad. I'm gonna rid, and you get that kind of mentality. And it's the same thing. But state corruption usually comes from money. And it's like I've always said, if politicians didn't get paid, if we're going to have minimum wage, politicians shouldn't get paid any more than minimum wage ever.
We were talking about that before you showed up too.
I mean, I see no reason why the Federant should get $400,000 a year for the rest of his fucking life.
No, that's bullshit. If you want to do it, you should be doing it because you want to, not because it's profitable for you.
Right. That's, you should be like, no, I'll go live in damn squalor because I want to change, I'm going to go, I would think again, if I knew voting worked, I would think again about voting if somebody running was somebody that lived in the damn ghetto. And they're like, look, man, I live down here in the ghetto. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of seeing what's happening to the society around here. I really want to make a change. The best thing I do is try to get on top. I'm running for mayor.
Remember how we were talking about empathy earlier and how it's hard to empathize with people? If you're in a position, like if you're in poverty, then it actually, you don't even have to empathize. It helps you. You're not the elite upper echelon political class,
But also, unfortunately, speaking of poverty, like with that, the way the current system is designed, like poverty itself is life-threatening. Like a lot of what we're talking about with this universal basic income idea, or the idea of kind of changing the playing field, is to like make the top a little less ridiculous so that we can provide cushion onto the bottom, so that the people who are in those positions, it's not like a fucking death sentence. Because for a lot of people, the lowest level of poverty there is like no home, no means of mobility.
So I'm with you, but let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What does that look like in reality? Because does that mean the government showing up with guns and taking the rich man's money, just like taking it from him, like straight up?
No. I think it's like, again, if anyone knew it, we'd be doing it, which is why I like talking about these things, because I feel like the more we talk about them,
none of us are an authority on the subject by any means. We're just kicking the shit.
And so with that, no, I think it's just, like, again, kind of what Bernie's wanting to do, just like change the tax rate up a little bit, higher taxes for the rich.
The argument I've heard against that is if you raise the taxes on rich people too highly, they have enough loopholes that they just won't pay it at all. So
let's fix that too.
Or
we gotta fix that too.
Or they leave the country. That's pretty much what they do. They just
or they leave. Yeah, they just set up shop in Mexico
or China.
There's that also.
Or
you definitely want businesses to stay here. You want it to be profitable for businesses to work within the country.
So that means that somewhere down the line, when you're figuring out how to not necessarily divide up the more rich folks' monies, you have to give them an incentive, some reason to want to give that money, because no one wants to do anything if they aren't going to get something in return.
Now,
right.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is where capitalism actually does work. If it was working the way it was supposed to. And I'll say this all the time, it's the ism that people put on capitalism that makes it bad. It's when you make that your forefront of your life. Yeah, it's definitely not good, but the idea of I can compete with something to make a better product, and you don't have to buy it from me. You can go buy it from somebody else, and I don't have to sell it to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. And you don't have to work for me, and I don't have to give you a job. And nobody can ask me why. Nobody can ask you why. Nobody can force either of us to do that. And that's really what a free market is. It goes beyond just purchase. It has to do with work. It has to do with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get into that, you have you have to, shoot, I'm losing where I was saying.
I mean, so yeah, I just want to let me pull it back again because I'm trying to get everyone on the same.
I drifted.
We okay. Where is everyone at before we close this out? Where does everyone stand in terms of what the government should be allowed to do? I guess I'll go first, and then everyone can kind of just go. I think basically. I don't even know if we need a federal government. Like me and Neif were kind of getting into last night, how we could have a military for foreign affairs that is voluntary and based on charity. Like basically people, it's like, hey, China's trying to invade us, so everyone just get together because we have to defend our fucking land. Instead of there being a draft, instead of there being a government, it's like everything's voluntary. So there's definitely that idea. So I would say we don't even really need a federal government. We do need systems of authority to keep us from murdering each other. Now, that doesn't have to be a state government even, that depending on the size of the group. So you could have a town council that handles like some people come into town. It's like you have local enforcement to make sure that doesn't happen. You don't have Big Brother coming in and telling people how to do things.
Right.
So I would say there have to be systems in place to stop us from killing each other and from stealing each other and from raping each other, like violent crime. And then outside of that, they shouldn't do anything at all. I don't believe in taxes, period. And I'm actually a lot more staunch on this after talking to Neif about it. But I think that's basically where I stand. And then you want to go next, Phill? Kind of give your 2 cents, like where do you kind of agree or disagree with me on that?
Well, I would definitely agree that I don't believe that we need a federal government, and agree that having a military for foreign affairs is the only thing we shouldn't operate in other countries. It should be for defense. If someone is trying to attack us, then that is where that is what our military is designed to do, is defend, not attack. And as far as local government goes, like you said, I definitely agree on the scale. I don't necessarily think that there needs to be a state government in every situation, but the groups where there are, groups of people big enough to need someone to govern them, then, they can set up that within the community in themselves. As far as our economy goes, I'm very iffy because I do like the idea of some socialist ideologies when it comes to our economy, as far as giving, like I did like the $2,000 check idea, like that sort of thing. It would help a lot of people who are not able to help themselves, because in actuality, not everyone is going to have a community. Not everyone is going to band together. I think a lot of our issues come from our society, and with how we are now, I feel like we are more driven by greed, in the sense of rising ourselves. We are more concerned with what we need and what we want than the needs of everyone else. So in a society like that, I do think that there would need to be something in place to help,
right,
those that are not being helped by everyone else.
I think so a lot of our issues that we're talking about, besides the physical violence aspect of theft and murder, it's like we have a lot of issues as a society, but most of those issues we can work out as people. We don't need a federant to step in and handle that for us. If there's a social issue, if someone's an asshole, people are going to police that without realizing it or not, by just not associating with that person. You get a bad reputation. That's what happens. Unfortunately, it happens to good people too. That just like rumors get spread. But I mean, that's what I mean. Like the government, okay, like so freedom of speech. It's like, oh no, you shouldn't, that's a bad word. You shouldn't be allowed to say that to somebody. We all, as people, we know what is acceptable to say and what is not. So we don't need anyone to stand over us and tell us that. It's one of those things where it's like, no, you find out it's not okay to say that, because if you say that, there are social consequences to it, not, you know, legal ones.
Not if I cuss out a cop, I'm getting shot or taken to jail.
Right. Yeah. So let me hand it off to Scufflemoss. I'm just gonna kind of ask you the same question. What do you think? Basically, let's talk government scale. What do you think the government should enforce? What do you think they should not be able to do?
Okay, so first off, I like the idea of having a government federally in order to unite all of these separate, more local governments. So something that it's like the root of a tree, and you have branches coming off, which is what we have basically. But take some of that, the fluff. You got to cut off the stuff that's not necessary. We need roads so that we can get from place to place. So we need some money being funneled into a place where roads can be built. Because where are they getting the money for the roads? Unless we put them into toll roads, then you're still having to pay for those roads. So having a tax of some sort, well, me, myself, I hate taxes. I wish they didn't exist. I see the necessity of it. I see where it can be a good thing, but it has been taken to the wrong place. So we have to, like I keep saying, have these checks and balances. The government that we have, it needs new checks and balances. We've been going off of the same thing for so long that now we need to reassess what is necessary, because we have so many people in the government right now who are basically just gliding by, getting free monies, barely doing any work, while you have people at the bottom of the totem pole doing all the work, getting nothing. That's why we are having to raise the minimum wage, just so that people can meet those necessary places. That's where the universal income comes into play, and then you have people working more to enjoy their life instead of having to work just to have a life. So you have your universal income, you take that, then let's say that you use having a job as a way to reach that threshold. If you needed to do more, because we all know that our needs are different. If you need to do more, you're able to go and do other things, but it's not a necessary thing to have to hold down 2 and 3 jobs. So what we need is a revision of what we currently have and cut some of that fluff out, because there's a lot of people out there just riding off of the government, but not actually doing anything. And I'm not talking about people on welfare. I'm actually talking about the people who are making the laws. There's too many
politicians.
We need to revise how our politicians, or how many politicians we have out there, and all the lobbyists and stuff. We need to get rid of that. We need to start from square one on a in an ideal situation. It would have to be in a more empathetic way. You have a group of people who handle this specific situation. You have another group of people who handle these things, because not everyone wants to do the same thing that someone else is doing. So, like, let's say that you have someone who handles the economic affairs of things. that person is not going to be qualified to handle the agricultural side of things. We still need someone in the government who handles the agriculture of the entire country. So therefore, we still need some form of federal government. However, we need to reassess who's doing what and if they're actually qualified to do it. Then take the people that aren't qualified to do it and make them do something else. Because it's not going to work the way that we're currently doing it. So I like the idea of reinforcing the local governments as well, making the local governments more important than the federal government. The federal government should be there to support the local government so that the local government could help its people out directly versus having to go through to the federal government, wait for the federal government to go through billions of people in order to discover what that single person needs. So put more control into the local governments and have the federal government as a secondary. That's how I think that the government should be run.
Okay, so if I were to summarize, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's you think a revised federal government with less authority and more spaced out, so sectioned out into like you said, you have someone in head of military, you have someone in head of agriculture, you have someone in head of economics, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me I want to hear what you have to think too, Mike, but I'm sure Neif's chomping at the bit to get on that.
Oh, no, you can go ahead, Mike.
Okay, yeah, let's go to Mike next, then Neif can close it out.
Cool. I genuinely appreciate everything Scufflemoss said highly. I think there's some truth in that. And I kind of think in an ideal society, if we could take things back several hundred years and just restructure the whole thing, I feel like we would be happier in smaller groups and maybe more efficient. But because of the way things have moved and headed, I don't think a federal government is something that can go away anytime soon. I feel like it's I hate using the phrase too big to fail, but the way our entire species is designed and networked right now, it kind of has to be there. And so I think limiting those powers and maybe refocusing on the issues that they address to be kind of taking government out of its authority complex and into like a societal help team, if that makes sense. Kind of akin to the idea of like restructuring police to be doing less domestic issues, like still helping with violent crimes and things like that. But like, if someone's saying they're suicidal or something like that, sending like an actual psychologist or psychiatrist there to help, like really re-looking at and restructuring how we're allocating a lot of the authority roles that we have, and maybe redesigning them to, instead of having absolute authority, be societal helpers is not a great phrase, but that's the one I'm going to use for now. My entire life have championed the idea of an overhaul of the education system. I feel like we are a bunch of was it nutballs was the phrase that was used earlier. I think our country and a lot of other countries are being run by people who have no one's self-interest in mind other than their own. And I feel like the quickest way to start having a large-scale overhaul of that is redesigning the education system to focus way heavier on critical thinking, empathy, love. That's like a hippy dippy thing to say, but I feel like as a people, we don't love or care enough. And I feel like if we could find a way to re-inject that into society, it would not necessarily fix itself, but that's where the healing starts,
Yeah.
And just redesigning the whole thing and hoping for the best. That's kind of where I sit.
So I'm
society.
Yeah, we live in a society. It's a good one. So I mean, you made some excellent points there. I think like we're basically on the same page. Like So the way it should be restructured, the way the government should be restructured is based around help and education rather than control.
Basically,
not telling people what to do.
Civilians.
Yeah, not telling people what to do and enforcing what they do under the guise of helping people.
Yeah.
But education, a lot more money in like you're saying, just telling people how to be good people, like that kind of education.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, because that's what's really lacking in how people are educated is how to behave with one another and show each other love.
And a lot of societal crimes in themselves, like stealing, theft, murder, stem from feelings of isolation, and a lot of those feelings of isolation are brought on by economic hardship and a lack of trust of everyone around you and the way society works. So if we could, instead of having things set up to be like, oh, I'm afraid that the IRS is going to put me in jail because I'm not doing my taxes right. I'm afraid the police are going to come get me if I have to steal this loaf of bread because I just need it to eat this week. If we could just kind of readdress how we function as a society psychologically, I feel like there would be less issues inherently, then we wouldn't have to worry about keeping each other safe because we're not out to hurt each other because we're fine, which is, again, really utopian. But I feel like there's a good middle ground in between where we're at now and what that would be like.
Spiritual education.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dose the water supply, baby. Let's do it.
I know that we're supposed to be
put the right chemicals in there, man.
But we're supposed to be getting off here. But I just want to touch on what Mike was saying. So education, that definitely needs a reform because we have an educational system that is completely failed.
Right.
But it's not just failed in its practice, it's failed the people going through it. So we have to look at the school system again with what we're actually teaching, because they're out there teaching a lot of fluff stuff, but not stuff that actually is applicable to real life. And that also goes into trades, because a lot of schools promote people going directly into college, but not trade schools. There's a lot of good work in trades that isn't being done because they don't see trades as being a viable source of work. They only want to go get a degree because it just means more money. But guess what? The trades also make monies. So we need to be teaching trades in school as well, not just the critical thinking parts, which come very useful in college.
That's an excellent point.
You need the critical thinkings for college, but you don't need that a whole lot in the trades. You need to focus on using your hands and learning skills.
That's very true.
For the just to add to that too, the critical thinking, I 100% agree. I feel like the entire system is structured incorrectly now because there's like this weird societal stigma on not going to college. I feel like there's some like weird hierarchy and ego in academia that doesn't need to be there. But just to add to that, when I say critical thinking, I'm 100% talking about being able to make more intelligent decisions, not necessarily for career-based things, but for voting, like
problem solving and stuff.
Being able to vote and make decisions intelligently and effectively so that you can learn how to be a better citizen and make decisions that will benefit society and not just yourself too. So that's that's what I was getting at with that.
I understand. I was just saying that we need to be teaching more useful things as well. Like it's important to be able to figure out your problems, but if we're only focusing on the critical thinking, we're not learning any skills.
You're absolutely right.
We need to be teaching more skills in schools.
That's an excellent point. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about like how to interact with people and like general like social stuff. But that's true. We need to be teaching trade, like hands-on, how to operate with the world and like do practical things like that.
That's actually like like what we want home ec to be, what we want, you know, like craft shop to be, you know.
Exactly. They used to teach these things in schools, but because it ends up costing too much money, and the people, there's just no incentive in it for the teachers. So they don't want to do it. So now you have teachers who are overloaded because it's too expensive now to have the teachers doing it. So you don't have the classrooms, you don't have the tools to do it. So once again, we're getting back to having to restructure everything so that we can do these things that will actually benefit society in a more positive way.
We've got a lot of work, and a lot of people, there's no motivation for them to do the work that's needed. It's
precisely.
There's so much motivation to keep things exactly where they are or make them worse. There's no financial motivation for people to make things better, and that's the fucking issue we've come to.
There's no financial motivation for the people at the top. That's the problem.
Yep.
Because the people on the bottom, they see these things. They understand it. They see that we need to be doing these things as well.
Yep.
But because the people at the top are saying, no, we need these monies in other things. But, you know, they keep restricting what they're putting these monies into. So now we're going to have lesser things in school than ever before. Now we're only going to be focusing on the three main subjects. You're going to have math, you're going to have English, and you're going to have something that's not science, because Christian
journalism and social media. Those are two classes being taught in high school right now.
Oh, wow.
That's
journalism
terrible.
And social media.
That's terrible.
And, you know, I'm not inciting anything when I say this, but if the politicians don't start fucking listening, I think Americans have shown that we're just not going to take any bullshit.
Well, see, that's where you get into, like, looking into the riot that was incited. We saw that even though we were, I'm not putting myself into this, but the people that went to the riot, we saw that they don't care about what's gonna happen. But as soon as someone dies, they run. So imagine that an actual revolution happens. Will these same people actually go all the way? And will they let tens of thousands of their own people die for the sake of this? No, they won't. So sadly, an actual revolution like we're talking about, like the riot was meant to be, it won't happen because people don't have enough courage to actually go die.
This gets back to you make an excellent point, Scufflemoss, and this gets back to the education thing, because it's the media that tells us we're against each other. The media tells us it's left versus right. The media tells us it's white, like hate crime against black, it's black hate crime against white. Like, they create division between us on it's men versus women. It's any issue that keeps us from thinking about us together as a people against a ruling supreme class that's keeping us down. It's the the man is keeping us down with the media, man. They're telling us to fight each other instead of fighting them, and it's bullshit. We should all, if we all got together, that would be a real movement. That's one where we could all.
But what could we actually do? Like, really, really think about it. If we were to amass great groups of people and do exactly what happened on January 6th, do you think that what they want to do will actually happen? Do you think we could actually run up into the White House and say, this is my house now? No, you can't. Because of the checks and balances that we
It wouldn't matter anyway.
It wouldn't.
You know how many times the Capitol has been overrun? It was taken over for 4 to 5 days by veterans because they didn't get their paycheck years and years ago.
And nothing happened.
And nothing happened.
Nothing happened. So
Capitol gets taken over a lot. It had gotten taken over.
It does. So even if we were to do it again as a group of Americans, not just Republicans going to the White House or Proud Boys or whatever groups, if we were to do it as Americans as a whole, it still wouldn't matter because there's already people in place that say, okay, we'll back off. But are you gonna keep them in check? Who's gonna actually watch the Watchmen?
That's a good question. I don't have a good answer. I definitely see your point.
Yeah. So, you know, we want this revolution of a sort. We want our lives to be better. We want things to be held accountable. But who's going to be the one to do it?
Well, let's pull it back even more. I think we probably would have had nuclear fallouts by now with different countries if it wasn't for alien intervention. That's Big Brother, dude. Now I'm pulling it way back. That's Big Brother, dude. They're fucking making sure things operate in a certain way, like barely under construction, where it's like things are on the surface level of boiling, but it's like as soon as a nuke, they're like disable the nuke so they don't fucking kill each other. That's probably already fucking happened.
Big Brother meet Big Klingon.
If we're going into aliens now,
okay,
come on.
I mean,
we got to go into aliens, but I need to get going.
I definitely feel there's Alice's. I'm not even looking at her, but Alice's presence is like starting to like make my heart rot. I can't really describe it in any other way. It's like kind of she's pulling me in.
Alice doesn't want to hear the answers to all of your questions.
Oh, actually, I heard it intensifying when we started talking about aliens, and I'm getting the impression that Alice is not happy with the conversation.
The world isn't ready.
Well,
she gets scared sometimes.
Well,
it
gentlemen,
makes her look creepier.
It's been really great seeing you all. Scufflemoss, we'll find you. You will come back.
I'll be back.
I'm gonna get Daddy Cat's Camaro running. Maybe he can come try to shoot out and find you somewhere. I don't know.
And don't forget, No Name drops this Friday, and it's gonna be fucking sick.
Yes.
And I'm gonna listen to the heck out of it.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for being here. Let's all get out of here before Alice absorbs us.
Good night, Alice.